Nomad Capitalist is back, and today I'm telling you something I'm sick and tired of hearing about and how some people are doing go where you're treated best all wrong. Hi, I'm Andrew Henderson. This is Nomad Capitalist, where we talk about the personal issues affecting the lifestyle of 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs living the nomad capitalist lifestyle and going where they're treated best. And it's been a couple years since we've done this. I have a brand new tea, one of my favorites, New World Tea for my beloved TWG teas. The sound of laughter pierces through birdsong. It has marigold, it has rose petals, it has sticky mango, orchard fruits, all in a black tea blend. I love this one. And remember, if you haven't watched in a while, they're not a sponsor, I'm just a fan. So I'm enjoying this New World Tea. I want to talk to you about something that really has bothered me for a while. If nothing else, this will be cathartic, but I think it's an important lesson for people to watch, to share why I think go where you're treated best is so important, not just for lowering your taxes, not just for having a second citizenship, but much bigger than that as well. And let me tell you a story. It's my birthday several months ago. I'm going out for a walk to make my beloved small purchase. I go out and buy a Coke Zero, I go out and buy a sparkling water. I just like to go out and engage in some commerce. I'm walking back to my home, kind of in a long, roundabout way. And a guy stops me. He says, "You're the nomad capitalist." Well, this happens from time to time. I put my hand out. I can immediately tell this is different than the couple other 100 times it's happened. He immediately goes into this whole kind of thing about how, you know, we didn't accept him as a client, and he's frustrated. And I'm listening, and when he's done, maybe I'll jump in and I'll try and be sympathetic. And then he, at the end, is like, "I know I have more money than you do." And so at this point, I just, it's my birthday. No matter what day it is, I'm just like, all right. I let him finish. I don't say anything, I just walk away. And I'm thinking to myself, here's a guy who at least, I don't know how much he's done, but he's at least done something. He's not from Colombia. He's done something to go where he's treated best in some small way. And yet, there's this resentment inside of him where one company didn't accept him as a client. Perhaps by the way he acted, you can tell why we didn't accept him as a client, because I have a team that's pretty intuitive that picks up on this stuff. Do you think we want to work with people who tell us how poor we are compared to them, whether that's true or not? Let me tell you another story. Recently posted something on social media that ended up taking off, went viral, about how you can buy an apartment in parts of coastal Albania for half a Bitcoin. Half a Bitcoin was trending. We were riding the trend of 0.5 Bitcoin. And the team said, hey, what can someone buy for 0.5 Bitcoin? We can talk about this. An apartment in Saranda, Albania, or Vlora, Albania. So they post a picture of Saranda, Albania, and it goes, 7,000 people like this. We got tons of new followers. Now, we can debate whether it's $20,000 for an apartment, 20,000 euros. Listen, maybe for, $25,000 is where, most of them start. But you can buy stuff in coastal Albania for $20,000. It's not a mansion, but you can buy a little apartment. And living in Montenegro in the summer, I know plenty of people who live in little 18, 19, 20, 22 square meter places. Now, I don't sell real estate. I'm not a real estate agent. My goal was not to sell someone a property or get leads for my business. I think we've helped one person who wanted to move to Albania and get Albanian residence. It's not something that we really offer. It's not a pitch. And if you watch this channel, we don't pitch any one particular country. It was just a playful idea of, here is an idea. Just, hey, give people's attention. And it got a lot of people's attention, and people are starting to think about it. But of course, there are people who come out like, no, I was there. You're a fraud. You're a scammer. Look at this over here. Look, someone who used to work for him doesn't like him. This guy's terrible. And one thing I've told our team for a while, and we've talked about this publicly occasionally, is, you're allowed to disagree. We had other people where we said, hey, Merida, one of the safest places in Mexico. People are saying, actually, I think Campeche is safer. Actually, I think this. Actually, I think that. Great discussion. Valuable. Adds value. When your only response is, you're an idiot, you're a fraud, yeah, you're going to be blocked. And then people consistently come back and complain, like, you blocked me. Why did you block me? It's like an abusive relationship where it's like, why don't you accept that I hit you? Don't you know, why can't you just accept that I hit you? And so I can tell you, so many stories that are like this. But one thing that I've developed in conjunction with the idea of go where you're treated best is, I don't want to deal with any negativity in life. Now, when you're an entrepreneur, obviously there are frustrations in your business. There's no such thing as linear growth. Obviously, when you're an entrepreneur, particularly in a service business, you're going to occasionally have people who are scared. That's something that very much happens in our business. People get started and they get a little bit on edge, no matter how tough they are. Occasionally, people are going to be frustrated. That's something that any entrepreneur deals with, and we try and deal with it from a position of empathy, because I've been there. But one thing we don't tolerate, one thing that I don't want to have in my life, besides just the normal struggles of you run a business, besides the normal struggles of your portfolio is down one day, those things are negatives. There's no need to have any kind of negativity in your life. And one thing I've seen by watching a certain segment of our audience is they thrive on the negativity. They love the negativity. And in my mind, you're doing it exactly wrong if that's your perspective, because the point of Go Where You're Treated Best is to improve. A couple years ago, I made a video for the MGTOW movement, men going their own way. Now, I lived in the United States for much of my life, and I've talked about the stories of how the way I wanted to dress wasn't always well received by people. You know, girls when I was young that made fun of me for wearing French cuff shirts, or why are you an entrepreneur? Why don't you just, focus on drinking? Why don't you come to Vegas with us? And so I understand what it's like. I think a lot of entrepreneurs understand what it's like to be at a young age and to feel that they're not like a lot of other people their age. I had friends when I was 23 years old. I was hanging with people who were 40 and 50 years old, and I parlayed that actually into starting some early businesses and making a lot of money by working with experienced people. But I didn't have friends that my own. It's only really now that I have friends who are younger than I am for the first time in my life. And so I understand the frustration. But for me, just take the dating piece. I think even if I were to go back to the US today, I probably wouldn't get along with a lot of people in the US, men or women. Obviously, the people we work with who agree with Nomad Capitalist, I get along with, but the mass population, probably not. And yet, what did I do? I left and I went over and met German women, met Indonesian women, met Colombian women, met people all over the world, and found that worked a lot better for me. And when you find things that work a lot better for you, I don't care if it's you're tired of paying 43% in taxes and you can find a way to pay 5%. I don't care if it's you're tired of being an American and you can find a way to get a second passport. I don't care if it's you're tired of living in one place and now you can live in another. And I don't care if it's I don't get along with the women or the men where I live and I want to go somewhere else. By the way, it does actually go the other way around. There are places where the men are very much in control and they're very particular, and the women are the ones who are dancing. So, there are situations where it's the exact opposite of where you're used to. And the whole point of what we're trying to tell you here is there are alternatives. What happens where you live is not necessarily what happens where everyone else lives. And I think if you don't realize that, you're just going to sit around and be a defeatist and you're going to be angry. And so my point to the folks who, I understand the perspective to a certain extent of men going their own way. Hey, listen, it's frustrating. Hey, listen, people get taken advantage of in some situations. I get it. Is the goal to sit around and stew in your own toxicity and to be so miserable and so angry? If you didn't want something, you wouldn't be angry about it, right? And so just as people, call me names and accuse me of things, you know what? Do you know what I do if I think someone's a fraud? I don't follow them. I don't get on sales calls with them. I don't inquire about attending their events. I just stay away. And do you know what happens? I have a great sense of peace. And when I was in my early 20s, I probably wasn't as good at that, honestly. I had more of a temper. I let more things bother me. And you know what? Occasionally things do still bother me occasionally. Fortunately, much less often. Fortunately, with a much lower response. But the idea is if you want to change something in your life, go where you're treated best. Obviously, our business helps people reduce their taxes, get second passports, get second residences, build diversified portfolios, protect their wealth. We help people do all of that. That is a business. But on a mindset front, here on Nomad Capitalist, the idea is figure out a problem in your life and find a way to solve it. My philosophy is there's a geographical solution to almost any problem that you have, right? And that could include dating. I think that that's a much better atmosphere than what I see some folks. Listen, we've worked with lots of Bitcoiners, lots of crypto people, hundreds of them, great people. But there are also some people that you see on social media which have fun staying poor. What kind of a mindset is that? that you feel so hurt that you want to attack people, have fun staying poor. You know what? I want you to win because I'm already winning. I don't need for you to lose for me to feel good about myself. And I don't need to sit around and complain how, the women are terrible, or the men are terrible, you hear that some places, or the taxes are so high, or the politicians are so corrupt. There is a solution. But so many people are focused on sitting around and saying, well, gee, Andrew, like for most people, what you're saying doesn't really work. No, what I'm saying does work for almost everybody. Buy a flight ticket, rent an apartment, get off your culo, and yes, you can go where you're treated best as well. You can choose a home. I saw some people on social media recently talking about, hey, so excited to go back to this country that I've chosen to live in. When you make a choice of whom you're with, where your business is, how you live your life, where you live your life, that feels a lot more powerful than when it simply is dictated to you. And I get it more than probably anyone you'll talk to, that you may not feel that some or all the parts in your life make sense based on, hey, I was born in this country, this wasn't the right place. Now, living overseas has challenges, no doubt about it. It has frustrations. Part of what I talk about is if you are a successful entrepreneur or investor, the millions or tens of millions of extra dollars that you will save in taxes and perhaps to a lesser extent cost of living over the years will be quite a feather in your cap to allow you to deal with the frustrations. Because you know what, every time I call my friends in the US, they say, hey, occasionally we've got problems with the internet too, except we're paying a lot more and we're paying half our income in taxes. Andrew, you're paying 1% in taxes. Hey, be glad your internet doesn't work every once in a while. Neither does ours, right? And so I think that my point is you can find people to surround yourself with intentionally, other people who have chosen to go where they're treated best. I have friends from all over the world, in Colombia, from Norway, in Portugal, in Asia, in Georgia, I mean, all over the place. And many of them have made the choice to go somewhere else to go where they're treated best. And so therefore, they make great friends because we're able to talk about growth. We're able to talk about improvements. We're able to talk about winning and getting to the next level. If you're surrounding yourself with people who are toxic because they don't want to make the changes, they make excuses, they put their finger in my face and say, no, you don't understand how it's easy for you in your world. It's not any easier for me. You buy a plane ticket, you put a plan together. If you want my help to do that, to save a lot of money, we do that. But you don't need my help if you're just starting out and you want to go somewhere and fit in better. So I know what it's like to not be happy where I'm from. And I think that that point is dramatically underestimated, sadly, by the media and the others who want to pin me as someone who just left the U.S. to not pay tax. That's hardly the case. The taxes are the window dressing, the cherry on top of otherwise seeking to get away from a place that didn't work for me. And by the way, because of that, my business has grown 23-fold since I renounced U.S. citizenship. That's a point of saying you will improve, your finances will improve when you decide to cut the cord with something that's not serving you. I'm tired of people who want to be angry. I'm tired of people who want to make excuses. And you know what? I've learned over the years to handle it. You want to call me names? That's great. You're not going to come to our life. In fact, we had to cancel several people who booked tickets to Nomad Capitalist Live, one of whom called one of our team members the C word. To do that and to have such hostility and then be like, hey, I'm going to come to your conference. It'll be fun. Yeah, we don't want you at our conference. I'm sorry to say. If you're going to go, it happens all the time, by the way, on a weekly basis, come and hang around here and see the people who literally call us all the nastiest of names, who make the most defamatory of accusations, and then literally sometimes an hour later, there's a direct message. Hey, can you help me with this project I'm doing? It's like, yeah, we don't. The benefit of what I get, by the way, of going where I'm treated best is, I mean, anyone can do this, but it's especially easy when your tax rate is very, very low. The decision of not accepting someone who's going to bring any drama to my life whatsoever, reducing my wealth, or reducing my income that year by 12 basis points is an extremely easy decision. And I think that that's part of the mindset shift that I've gone through on the financial side, where it's like when you get to keep almost all of your money, it's a lot easier to walk away from bad money. It's a lot easier to walk away from bad people. Obviously, I'd love to serve everybody because, as I said, I'm already doing well. I'd like everyone else to do well. But if you're going to call me names, if you're going to accuse me of doing things that I don't, if you're going to try and use stuff against me, I don't need you. And I think that's the attitude people should be taking. I think the attitude is bring the people that add value to your life by focusing on being in a good position. So many people, I think, are engaging this hatred because they're not in a place where they are treated best. Be in a position where you're treated best and you will just immediately brush that stuff off. I know a lot of people who are in that place of anger won't understand, but I'm here to tell you, and they won't act on it, but I'm here to tell you, maybe I haven't been to the extent where I'm blasting out nasty words at people, or I'm doing some of the underhanded stuff people are doing. Maybe I haven't been there, but I've been angry. I've been frustrated. I felt at a place. So I feel where you're coming from. But because I feel where you're coming from and I'm trying to help people lift themselves up, I'm no longer going to tolerate any kind of nastiness. And by the way, the fact that we block you does not mean you got us. It does not mean we're afraid of you. It just means I don't want your nastiness anywhere near me, near my team, near my family. Don't want it, don't need it. And you know what? It's such a Western mindset, by the way, which is why it's always refreshing to have a diverse geography of clients, additionally. Only people from the US and a couple other Western countries think, yeah, I'll call them the C word. They'll take my money later. No, we won't, nor will any other expert in our space. And so I think it's valuable to focus on how can I really absorb going where I'm treated best in a personal way. That's a lesson that I think is extremely powerful. Beyond any tax savings, beyond anything else, improving your state of mind. Don't stop now. We've got well over 1,000 more videos here on YouTube for you to watch and learn how to go where you're treated best. And if you want to work with Nomad Capitalists personally, go to nomadcapitalist.com/apply, learn about our unique, tried and true process, garnered over years of experience, and learn how you can become our client.